In New York, developments in the case against Luigi Mangione, the man accused of shooting UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Now, Mangione's attorneys want a judge to bar federal prosecutors from seeking the death penalty, saying they turned Mangione's arrest into a, quote, Marvel movie. Will the judge agree? In Los Angeles, he's been called one of Gen Z's most buzzed about artists. Singer-songwriter David broke through in 2022 with the hit Romantic Homicide. Now, David's tour has been canceled, and he is at the center of a possible homicide investigation. After the decomposing body of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas was found in an abandoned Tesla registered to David. Tonight, we have the latest in the investigation. But first, shots ring out at a New Hampshire country club over the weekend, leaving one person dead and 2 others wounded. The shooting happened as wedding guests were gathering to dance to a new bride and groom. Authorities say the suspected shooter was reportedly a former country club employee, and today he made his first appearance in court. We have the latest in this developing investigation. Good evening and welcome to Closing Arguments. I'm Ted Rollins in for Vinnie Politan tonight. We're going to begin with that tragedy that occurred in New Hampshire over the weekend. It was during a wedding on Saturday night at the Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua, where a gunman opened fire in the club restaurant, killing 1 person, wounding 2 others. Close to 100 people had to be transported from the scene to a nearby firehouse. Authorities say the accused shooter, 23-year-old Hunter Nadeau, was a former employee of the club. And according to witnesses, he appeared to be targeting a restaurant worker. Unfortunately, 59-year-old Robert DeCesar died after being shot in front of his wife and daughter. And Robert, according to witnesses, was trying to protect them when he was shot and killed. We do know that this could have been much worse. Why? Because restaurant patrons all jumped in and helped stop the gunman. Court TV field anchor, reporter Cody Thomas, he's a man who does it all. He's diving into this case. And let's start with what the latest is here. I know there was a court appearance.
Yes, sir, Ted. Great to see you as always, my friend. Now, this accused murderer, 23-year-old Hunter Nadeau, briefly appeared in court earlier this afternoon as he faces charges of reckless second-degree murder. Now, Nadeau appeared via video link from jail, and he did not enter any sort of plea and only spoke to answer the judge's questions.
Mr. Nadeau, I understand you've had an opportunity to meet with counsel.
Yes.
And she has gone over the charge in this matter and has waived a formal arraignment. We're going to schedule this for a probable cause hearing, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Now, of course, the shooting happened at the Sky Meadow Country Club last Saturday in Nashua, New Hampshire, a country club where police officials say Nadeau used to work about a year ago. Now, there was a wedding reception on one side of the venue and people simply eating at a restaurant on the other side. Now, a total of 7 people were injured, 4 adults with non-gunshot wounds, 2 with gunshot wounds, including an employee that was skylifted away, and 1 man who was killed in the crossfire, 59-year-old husband and father Robert DeCesar Jr. Now, unfortunately, DeCesar leaves behind his wife and 3 children, including a daughter who was supposed to be getting married in November. Now, the photos you're looking at now are from DeCesar's Facebook page, the Facebook page of a friend named Tom Ryan, and the Instagram account of DeCesar's wife, Charlene. Now, she described to police seeing the shooter walk into the room appearing to target a restaurant employee. Take a listen to New Hampshire Attorney General John Formella describing what they know so far about this suspect.
This ended up being a fairly contained event. It lasted well under a minute, and it was not nearly as tragic as it could have been. Mr. Nadeau is, as I said, a Nashua resident. He's a former employee of the club, and I want to talk a little bit about the statements he's made and what we know about his motive. There's been reports that he made certain statements such as Free Palestine, but based on the evidence we have gathered, Mr. Nadeau made a number of statements during the event. And we don't have any evidence at this time that would indicate that Mr. Nadeau was motivated by a hate-based motivation. In fact, I would say that at this point, the evidence leads us to believe that it is more likely that Mr. Nato was simply trying to make a number of statements to create chaos in the moment.
Now, during that same press conference, Formella said they were not prepared to comment on whether the suspect officially had a target. Now, he also said whether Nato was fired or quit the job a year ago is unclear right now in these early stages of the investigation. Now, the Nashville police chief also spoke and described how the shooting happened inside the venue and talked about the nature of the arrest, which he says was made just 30 minutes after the incident.
As you come in, there's the reception halls, banquet halls onto the right-hand side. The first gentleman that was shot was, if you want to call him a host, but he was working for, I would say, the wedding venue as a host out here in the hallway by the bathrooms. The further incident, the next shooting, was in the Prime restaurant. He did not get away. He was cooperative. They found him in a nearby neighborhood. But again, put yourself in the officer's shoes. You think there's two out there. It's a very dangerous situation, so tactics have to come into play. But they did find him in a nearby neighborhood.
And Ted, the chief also confirmed the weapon used was a handgun, but they say they are still looking into whether the shooter was licensed to own that handgun and if the handgun was legally owned by him in the first place. Now, the owner of the Sky Meadow Country Club also released a statement saying, quote, "We will not let the cowardly acts of this perpetrator define us."
It's a horrible story. That father, Mr. DeCesar, trying to protect his wife and daughter. They're out to eat. They're out to dinner.
And his daughter's getting married in November. It's just sad all around.
Yeah. Cody, thank you. Let's bring in the think tank. Tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III, there he is, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland, and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. The crew, as always, every Monday. Catch them all here. Let's start, Al, with this Free Palestine comment, but then there's also, he's the former employee, and apparently he was blurting out all kinds of nonsense. What's your initial gut tell you on what a possible motive is here?
My initial gut is that there are just far too many guns out there. That's my initial gut on this. I mean, it's remarkable to me that there are more guns in the United States than there are people. And when I see cases like this and I see a family man gunned down while he's eating dinner, it just ignites everything inside of me that I can't stand that we have this kind of violence going on. And him throwing out those phrases, I mean, it's just, just demonstrates that this is an unhinged individual who should not have a weapon in the first place, who's going in there and making up stuff as he goes along to try to make himself important. And that's what this is. Throw out these fancy terms, throw out these things that you can say, so all of a sudden you become important because you're throwing out social issues. He's a piece of garbage, and he gets what he deserves. And that poor family with the daughter being married in November, it's just a horrific situation.
Yeah, your take, Darnell. Oh, go ahead. Jennifer, go ahead first. She beat you to it.
I don't agree with Al on that, because they're saying, he's making these statements and it was just to cause chaos. But we don't know. Why else would he have been in there? And what was he thinking? And how do we know these statements weren't real and it wasn't an act of terrorism? I mean, he's just coming in there and saying these things. Why would he be saying them? So I think you have to look at that a little bit more closely.
So you're saying, Jennifer, that him blurting out Free Palestine warrants some investigation. And we did have the spokesperson come out and say that at this point they don't see anything that correlates to him being active or being at all political to the point of a motive. Darnell, what's your take in what needs to happen now is that is on the plate, to Jennifer's point?
Yeah, well, like in many instances, the court would always tell you that motive is not an element of any of the crime. So motive is not an element of the crime of murder. So this guy needs to be, as Al said, fried, held accountable, and we don't need to even worry about the motive. The motive is sometimes necessary if there's going to be other people working with them. So if there's other people that might be working with him, we might want to look at the motive so we make sure that it does no more other people don't get hurt. But this guy's working by himself, and I don't think motive is really germane right now. We just need to get him off the streets and give him the justice that Al's already alluded to.
But, Al, we all want to know why someone does what they do, and it's just a theme here on Court TV because we have all of these knuckleheads doing these horrible things. And at the end of the day, I guess to Darnell's point, there's never a clear answer, and this one sure seems it's going in that direction.
Well, but the thing is that where he's attacking, he's a former employee of the place, and he looks, and you know, they seem to be feeling that he was targeting one of the people there who probably ratted him out on something and caused him to be fired. But you want to make it sound like you're something more than that. I mean, you take a look, you know, even in the movie Die Hard, they made up all this stuff about the fact that they were supposed to be there to, you know, unleash and get people out of prison that were in all these different, you know, liberal gangs and horrible things that were going on in the world. And all they were there was for the money. This guy was there for revenge. He was there because he has, you know, he was disgruntled.
Al doesn't know that. Al's making things up now. We don't really know why he was there. And I mean, to Darnell's point, maybe we don't care, but he's making statements. He's coming in. I think people are curious as to what is going on with this guy. You know, what was he thinking, and why are we having a lot of these young people, you know, carrying guns and coming in and shooting people? I mean, it is a scary
That's the most important question. Why are there too many guns? Exactly, Jennifer, you're right. And you know, and I see your point with regards to the same with the Palestine thing, as today is the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, and happy holidays to everyone out there. But I don't think that this guy had the brains to be doing something political. This is absolutely just a revenge hit.
And doesn't, Jennifer, the location, the old former employee, that's, you know, we see that all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it gives a reason why he went there. He's obviously familiar with this place. He knows the ins and outs. He knows where the wedding might be held. He knows where the restaurant is. This is an easy target for him because he's familiar with maybe who's there at night, you know, and the lack of security, that it's not, I mean, it's a country club. It's not a high security kind of place where, you know, people would be there, you know, very vigilant about something like this. I mean, it's so scary that this happens now here at a country club. People are there to relax, have a good time. They're having a celebration, and you know, as it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, it's a scary world for sure.
And well, Darnell, isn't that where we've been going for decades now? Schools used to be the safest place. No one would think in a million years that kids in school would be potential targets. Country clubs are no different. That, you know, there is no safe place, I guess, at this point. And maybe you go back to Al's, there's too many guns out there, and too many people that instead of reverting to other avenues like fighting or confronting or speaking, are grabbing a gun and just altering life after life.
Well, I got to tell you, it's very strange that the idea that there's too many guns leads me to make sure that I have my gun with me in strange times, such as when I go to church. I literally had to speak to the pastor once and just said, listen, you know, I am holding, and, you know, I'm licensed. And he said, no, it's fine. You know, you're okay. And this is because of this church shooting that we saw down in the South. And also, when I go to Walmart, it's so scary when you see all these stories and I'm walking through the aisle. You know, I don't have it, you know, it's concealed. But sometimes, you know, I just say to myself, I make sure that I have my pistol on me, because you go to these places, and again, I get the too many guns, but then there's also a guy like this in a restaurant, and I would have to defend myself, and maybe even this poor guy, Robert, who died. So it's a catch-22, and I'm not saying that because I'm Republican, but you know, I do believe that, you know, we need to be able to have guns to counteract these people.
Hey, that's a fair point, and a lot of people would absolutely agree with you. And Al, the reason this wasn't worse was because other patrons stepped in. Now, I don't know that other patrons had guns with them and stepped in, but other people jumped in, and they were able to halt what could have been a situation which was much worse.
Well, Ted, I remember that there was a TV show a number of years ago called All in the Family, and they had Archie Bunker up, and he did a whole thing about guns, and he said that the way we could end a hijacking is just to arm all the passengers. So that's what Darnell is basically advocating. I'm telling you that what needs to be done is that we have to get people that are going to be doing strenuous background examinations of people with regards to guns and not make it as easily accessible, especially in the state of New Hampshire, as it is. And that's what needs to be done. Okay, the scenario here is that, I mean, if Darnell is afraid to go to church and has to bring a gun, what does that tell you about society? I mean, that is absolutely frightening to me. And, you know, and I don't doubt it, you know, with regards to what Darnell's saying, because, you know, whenever I'm around him, he always seems to have a gun, and it's usually aimed at me. But that's besides the point. The situation is that we are at a point in our society that you need to bring a gun to Walmart. You need to bring a gun to the church. You need to bring a gun to your friend's wedding or your friend's kid's wedding. I mean, we are just out of control. It has to stop somewhere.
Last word, Jennifer, on this. Apparently, it was a chair the guy used. I was just told to stop this attack. But final thoughts on this before we move on.
Look, I mean, I agree with both Al and Darnell, and I think that is the problem. But I think we have to, you know, just watch for people that have signs of you know, being unstable. I mean, this guy, did he have family? Did other people know? What was going on in his mind that triggered this? You know, did he have a dispute at the club? So I think, you know, people need to be vigilant and step up if they suspect, even a loved one, somebody that has some tendency to do something like this, to report it, you know, to try to prevent something like this from happening. Maybe that's where we begin.
Yeah, and the legal process is just beginning on this case. He made his first court appearance today, did not, as Cody told us, enter a plea. He'll be back as the prosecution continues with this case, and we'll continue to follow it. Think Tank is going to stay where they are after the break. The latest in the homicide investigation surrounding the teen's body found inside the car of a popular musician. Plus, here is what's coming up next hour on Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, Karen Reed avoided prison when the jury found her not guilty of the murder of her boyfriend John O'Keefe. But that wasn't the end of Karen's legal problems. Now she's back in court preparing for the civil wrongful death trial brought by the family of John O'Keefe. Can Karen win this one too?
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
A young mother found brutally murdered.
Now, the victim's boyfriend, a married father of 4.
Guilty in the death of his mistress as well as their unborn child.
The pregnant mistress murder trial, penalty phase, Wednesday morning, only on Court TV.
That is Where Did It Go Wrong from the debut album Withered of 20-year-old singer David. He went from recording songs in his sister's closet to grabbing millions of followers on social media. Now, David is at the center of a very serious criminal investigation after the body of a missing 15-year-old girl was found in the front trunk of his Tesla. As the investigation continues, he has canceled his dates in the U.S. and Europe. At least the tickets have been removed from the websites. Authorities have confirmed that the decomposing body in the Tesla was 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. Her body was discovered when somebody reported a foul odor coming from the vehicle. This was in an impound lot in Hollywood. A vigil for Celeste was held over the weekend in her hometown of Lake Elsinore. That's just east of Los Angeles. No suspects have been named in Celeste's death. A home, though, associated with David was searched last week as part of this investigation, and the LAPD is treating it as a homicide. Let's bring in entertainment host Holland Reed to weigh in on this. Holland, good to see you. This, first of all, what have you been hearing in terms of the latest in this investigation, and then also from David's perspective in terms of his short-term and possibly long-term implications to his career?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I think right now everything is so much up in the air. It's almost impossible to believe that he has not been charged. It seems that he would have been brought in for questioning. They said that he is cooperating with police at the moment. So what we know right now is that he did have some type of relationship with Celeste. We do not know what the nature of that relationship was. But if you go on social media, of all the channels, Discord and Reddit, there's a lot of speculation more so than facts happening right now across the board. And what we're learning is that she went missing over 1.5 years ago, but we don't know where she was that entire year before her remains were found. So most people are really looking at this timeline, trying to put her remains actually started to decompose. When did she actually die? And that's where everyone, I think, including all the sleuths, myself, and investigators are trying to make sure this is ironclad before they bring any charges against David at this time. But his career is definitely in major jeopardy. Artists like Daniel Caesar and Tyler, the Creator, have pulled away from him, have unfollowed him. Other artists as well have gone out of their way to try to get his influence and his lyrics off of the collaborations that they've had.
I know he's lost a few collaborations, some sponsorships, and people seem to be breaking away. And part of the equation here is the age of Celeste. And there are a couple posts on social media, even before she was found dead, people making accusatory sort of comments about it. She was 13 years old when they may have, if they did in fact meet and be close. She's got a song by the name of Celeste. I mean, there seems to be, correct me if I'm wrong, a little there when it comes to at least a relationship of some sort.
Absolutely. You would have to be blind to not see that there's a there. The mother reports are that the mother confirmed that she knew that Celeste had a boyfriend named David. We also, as you mentioned, there are songs and lyrics that mention her. They also have matching tattoos that say shush on the inside of their index finger. Also, it's been speculated that his camp was very much well aware that he was interested in younger girls at the time, and that she was a known secret within his household and within his camp. So that could be a possibility of where she's been this entire year, that she's been missing up until now, where her remains have been found. I do think that age difference is going to play a huge part in this, because it also goes back to that power dynamic between an impressionable 13-year-old girl. I'm sorry, at the time she was 15, but she had run away before, and that's why her family was not all up in arms looking for her again. They believed that she would come back the second time, and unfortunately she did not.
Yeah, she was 15 when she was found, but I mean, literally days after her birthday, or right around her 15th birthday. So those years that if she was with him would have been the end of 13 and all the way 13 and 14, we're talking different class here of this is a young girl, and that may also be part of the reason people are breaking away. You have this body in a Tesla, the front part of the Tesla, the front trunk, if you will. One would think maybe there's the video recording on the Tesla, and when they say he's cooperating, that can mean a ton of different things, correct?
Absolutely. We don't know what his lawyers, he's absolutely probably have lawyered up at this time. We don't know what direction that they're going in. Cooperation could mean a myriad of different things, clearly in this case. If he's not forthcoming with information, I'm sure his lawyer's like, hey, do not say a word. If there's something you need to tell me now, then, keep it to us between, that client-lawyer privilege. But cooperating doesn't mean that he is, admitting guilt or innocence. It doesn't mean that he's innocent. If you go back and look at the history of close lovers with partners, they always cooperate in the beginning. They will walk you through a house, they will walk you through their cars and thinking they can get away with it. And if this is a situation where he does become the prime suspect, you better believe that he is going to do everything in his power to try to clean this up. That's the nature of the beast. But I just feel like cooperation, we don't know anything yet. It's still so soon in this investigation. I think that the police and the attorneys or whoever, attorney generals and prosecutors are really trying to build their case because it seems so far removed at the moment. But I think that the more evidence that comes forward, we're going to see it's going to get closer and closer to him being very much a part of whatever happened to Celeste.
Yeah, and the level of decomposition is going to be a difficult part of this because of the manner of death, et cetera. And when you have someone, and fill us in, his level of fame, it seems to have just skyrocketed. It went from 0 to 1 million, in terms of viewers or views and followers. But how big was he? Because access to a vehicle, if it was your car or my car, we would have a handful of people that might have access to the vehicle. To get into that Tesla, you need the keys, and someone needs access. How many people are around him? How many people are part of his entourage?
I don't have a number on the amount of people, but I know that he was growing in fame a great deal. He had a camp with him, getting ready for that tour that he was going on. He did skyrocket to fame with several of his songs that got some airplay. One of his songs, ironically, was named "Romantic Homicide." He started off as someone that was recording in his sister's closet for his gaming and streaming. It became very well known on the internet. And I mean, honestly, we have created with this case an entire new generation of true crime enthusiasts because the sleuths are on it. And he did say at one point that they asked him in an interview, where are you from? And he says he's from the internet. And so that entire audience that's around him is something that is going to play a huge part in either his downfall or maybe his redemption story. So as far as his camp, I don't know, but you're absolutely right. That Tesla is not something you just get into very easily. It is so specific, so coded, so keyed up. And it's just really unbelievable that it would just randomly be abandoned with a dismembered teenager in there, someone that he was absolutely in some type of relationship with.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, I guess. Holland Reed, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. We'll have you back for sure. Let's bring in the tank, see what they think. Al Winch III, Darnell Crossland, and Jennifer Brandt still with us. You first, Jennifer. What do you take from this case at this point?
Well, I agree with everything that's been said from Holland. I mean, this is a young girl, and I think people are interested in that aspect of their relationship. And, what was their relationship? And how did she end up in the car? I mean, her body was decomposing. So, the time of death, it may not have been that long ago. And where was she all of this time? Was she with him? He has a lot of people surrounding him. So there will be, I would assume, witnesses and other people coming forward to talk about, if she was around him or where she was during this time, because we're talking about a pretty long time that she's been missing. So, we want to kind of find out what's been going on with her and, who might have done something like this to her.
A statement from the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner, pretty vague, came to Court TV. The decedent was found severely decomposed inside a vehicle on September 8th, 2025. She appears to have been deceased inside the vehicle for an extended period of time before being found. Darnell, an entourage, however many people were in the house in LA or were around him who maybe had access to the Tesla, someone's going to crack. You're seeing the entertainment world that, the collaborators are breaking away from him. Somebody has seen something in this type of scenario. This is a case you would think would be solved fairly quickly?
Yes, I would think so. There's some loyalties in those spaces that run very deep deep. However, I don't think that there should be any loyalty that runs as deep as to cover up a murder. Now, you got the R. Kelly who liked young girls, but people love his song, they love his music. There were some questions as to whether the girls consented. And then you go all the way to look at these crimes, and you got people shoot up a restaurant or a school, and now you go straight to its mental health at play, etc. Then you get cases like this where it's like a 15 or 13-year-old girl should be alive right now. It's one thing if he's dating a younger girl. Okay, fine, we got that part. But then now we step it up to murder. I mean, this is like taking R. Kelly a 2.0. I mean, and so I'm really disturbed, if anybody is a parent, that, your kids grow up, they want to experiment, they want to try love, and then they end up in a trunk and they end up dead. And that's very heartbreaking. So in terms of what we looking for here is to find out what happened, who knows what happened, whether in fact this camp is covering this up, and they should all be charged if they are. But what I'm seeing so far, we don't have a smoking gun, if you would, but we know it all leads back to the singer and his car, and he should be held accountable right now and give us some answers.
Al, your thoughts?
Well, the situation here, she's been gone since April of '94. And you've got a guy who is just immersed in mass media. So there's got to be footage that includes her. And there has to be footage that is going to be showing her. I mean, that's the whole essence of this, this mass media that people are using, that they're getting out there and that they're putting themselves out in all the different, social forums. So you're going to be very easy to see when she's there, and then you're going to be very easy to see when she wasn't there. And then that's when the questions are going to start rising with him. And that's when he's going to have to start answering, how come she's not here? How come she's not there? How come she's not anywhere else? I mean, he's 20 years old, and she was, 13 when she disappeared for the first time. And they were having a relationship, and she's 15.
Now, we don't
Obviously
know that they had we don't know, that has not been established for sure, but it sure sounds like
a relationship can be a friendship. I'm not necessarily saying there was anything more than, okay, but there was a relationship. There was something there. She found something in him. He found something in her. They were together. So like I said, there's got to be a lot of footage out there that includes her. And there will come a point in time when it doesn't. And that'll be the point where we know that's what happened.
And Jennifer, the surveillance, the people around. Go ahead. Jennifer's on fire tonight.
Yeah.
I love it. She's just busting in there.
I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, she must have not gotten sleep last night or something.
It's been reported that there are pictures of him with her, but he's really, it's not really out there, as Al has said, that it was always kept kind of quiet and not really out in the public. So I think it's going to be harder to sort of find than Al thinks. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people that have been following him. There's a lot of people he's had a lot of visibility in social media and on the internet, but I don't think that this relationship, whatever it was, friendship or more, has been very public. So I think we're going to have to rely on those who are surrounding him and other people who have observed potentially their relationship or where she was to come forward now.
Yeah, or crack under the lights of an interview if you're part of that inner circle, because as much as you're going to try to hide a relationship with an underage girl, if that indeed is what was going on with the tattoos of shh on their fingers.
Right.
Go ahead, Al.
I was going to say, but, there is going to be a lot of pictures of her. She's a 15-year-old girl. She's going to want to be in pictures.
Well,
She's
Jennifer's point is that this person was kept aside. She was a runaway, and there's a very good chance that everybody was sort of collectively, those that knew, if there were others, that she had to keep a low profile, including her. I mean,
get her phone. Get her phone. Get his phone. Those are going to be the areas that we've got to take a look at. Get her phone, get his phone. Those are going to have pictures. I mean, it's like a Taylor Swift song. She's 15, she's in love. She's crazy about this guy. She's going to have a ton of pictures on her phone. That's the only way it's done. That's the generation.
We shall see. But yes, Everybody's phone is going to be part of this, along with whatever they were able to pull out of that Los Angeles home associated with him. Let's get a break. When we come back, Luigi Mangione. Should the feds be seeking the death penalty?
Members of the Altoona Police Department arrested Luigi Mangione. He is believed to be our person of interest in the brazen targeted murder of Brian Thompson, CEO of UnitedHealthcare.
It feels good to get a guy like that off the street.
Luigi Mangione, the defendant, is charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree and 2 counts of murder in the second degree, including 1 count of murder in the second degree as an act of terrorism.
A win for Luigi Mangione's defense last week when a judge dropped the terrorism charges in his state murder case. Now, Mangione's defense is back with some new legal arguments. In the most recent filing, they're arguing that a judge should bar the federal government from seeking the death penalty against their client. They argued in papers Saturday that basically they've been prejudiced, that Luigi was prejudiced by turning his arrest into the spectacle. We all remember that video of him being arrested. They publicly declared their desire to see him executed, and the filing reads in part, Mangione's staged perp walk was done for the political needs of federal and local officials and not for public safety. Potential jurors Grant and Pettit were imprinted with a scene out of a Marvel movie with dozens of agents needed to protect them from this shackled monster Mangione. Mangione's attorneys also argued to have his federal indictment dismissed. They cited U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi's declaration prior to his April indictment that capital punishment is warranted for a premeditated, cold-blooded assassin that shocked America. Let's bring in the tank on this one. Let's see if we can get into some more trouble. Al Wunsch III, Daryl Crossland, and Jennifer Brandt. People don't like your gun talk, Al. I mean, people on the internet are already mad, all worked up. But let's talk Luigi a bit. The perp walk was, bless you, memorable. And it was, he came out of the helicopter. It was movie-esque. And he had all these people around him. Mayor Adams is there trouncing him in. What's your take on this argument that that was so egregious that it should affect this case? I mean, obviously it's not going to get thrown out.
Well, I was trying to think of what Marvel character he could possibly be, and I've come up with the name Major Med. That would be the name that I would give him with regards to this thing. But I have to agree, this was a spectacle that was not necessary. It was a horrific crime. It was a horrendous thing that he did. It was just, once again, too many guns, and this one he made himself. But this act that they did, that mayor being there, a mayor who was having a lot of problems with popularity in the city, was having a lot of own criminal problems that, got whisked away with the hand of a president, needed something to look good at. And they did. They put him there with this guy who was a criminal, who is a criminal, and who was arrested. To go further than that, it was absurd. There was no need to do what they did. I didn't see that there was going to be a death threat to him. There was no aspect of it that would required to have all that kind of manpower and gunpower and force, show of force. And that is prejudicial, absolutely prejudicial.
So we'll take the remedies to take the death penalty off the table, Jennifer?
I'm not a death penalty proponent anyway, but that's besides the point.
I mean, as far as being a spectacle, we have to look back to what the crime. I mean, if we all recall what happened, a guy, a CEO being gunned down in the middle of New York City early morning, and then all that went on in terms of tracking down Mangione and capturing him, it was a spectacle to begin with. So I don't think that the actual bringing him in and, all of this, I don't think was any more a spectacle than the crime itself. So I'm not so sure where they're going with all of this. I don't think that has anything to do with the indictment and the crimes that he's charged with.
Darnell, you look at that video, it appears, and he hasn't gone to trial yet, it appears to be pretty obvious of what happened here. And if you're going to have the death penalty on the table, stalking someone and shooting them in the back, doesn't that qualify?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So here, let's back up for a minute. So the question here is, what effect, if any, did this so-called perp walk have on his ability to have a fair trial? And that's the question. And so when you think about this, the defense, I don't agree with them at all here, because it's almost analogous if you get to the Marriott and you book the regular room and they only have the penthouse. So they say, okay, you can get the penthouse because we're sorry we ran out of regular rooms and we promised you one, so we won't charge you. In this particular case, they're saying because he got a perp walk that he should, not get the death penalty or have his case dismissed. It's not ringing true with me. One, the Federal Defender's Office puts on the amazing seminars across the country, and I've been to many of them, and they have seminars for what they call death-certified crimes. If this is death-certified, that's the only question we should be asking. If it's death-certified, it's death-certified. He still would have to find himself in a trial and be proven beyond a reasonable doubt whether he's guilty or not of the crime. Then it becomes whether death penalty is on the table. So we're jumping way ahead by just saying this perp walk makes this crime not death certified. It's either death certified or it's not, and it's a panel that determines that. In terms of his guilt or innocent, like you said, they have a video with him walking behind someone and shooting them. Should we blur that out too because it might be prejudicial? It is what it is. If he did it, he did it. I mean, what are we going to do? Keep blurring it? I don't care if he came out of a helicopter with guns all around. That's just what it is. He's on camera shooting someone. And if that's not prejudicial, the perp walk certainly shouldn't be taken into consideration.
Well, good points, everybody.
I'm not defending what he said, what he did, okay? But to have the mayor walking with him, when is the last time you've ever seen that on a perp walk?
Yeah, I get it. It seemed political and egregious, and there's some merit in that filing, but we need a break. So, thank you to everybody on the tank. Al Wunsch III, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt on fire tonight. We'll talk soon again when we come back. We'll reveal something else you need to know. Plus, coming up next hour on VPI. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, after being found not guilty of murder in the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, Karen Reed walked out of the courthouse a free woman. But now she's back in court for a civil wrongful death lawsuit brought by the family of John O'Keefe. How strong is the O'Keefe's case? We investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Join me for a Court TV true crime series.
I've never seen anything like this.
This was a whole different level.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rowlands. Season premieres September 27th.
Only on Court TV. Time for something else you need to know. The victim's mother took the stand in a case we're watching closely here at Court TV. Prosecutors say that Megan Hoffman's daughter, Melody, was kidnapped and murdered by Melody's ex-boyfriend, McKinley Louisima, and his friend, Dakota Van Patten, in February of 2024. Melody had been strangled and had numerous slash wounds. McKinley was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison last year. Now Dakota Van Patten is on trial. Jurors heard evidence that after investigators found Melody's remains, her mother received messages taunting her and saying her daughter was alive and safe.
So was this later in the day after you had been advised that Melody had been found deceased?
Yes.
Or now? Hello? And then what do you say?
Who is this?
Said, look, this is what we are going to do. You're going to listen to exactly what I say. And if you do, you will both be happy. You will see your baby girl safe and sound.
Okay.
And go on to the next exhibit here. So we have your daughter, and then only you're going to see her again. That's if you pay some money to get her back. On February 18th of 2024, Megan, did you know a man by the name of Dakota Van Patten, the defendant in this case?
No, I did not.
Did you know a man by the name of Logan Kimpton?
No, I did not.
Difficult case. We'll continue to follow. Before we end this hour, there is a picture that we want to show you. This is Liliana Blanco. Liliana is 15 years old and was last seen in Gainesville, Florida on September 20th. If you have any information about where Liliana is tonight, please call the Gainesville Police Department in Florida. The number is on your screen there, or you can always call 1-800-THE-LOST or 911. Let's see if we can get Liliana to a safe place tonight. That's all we have time for this hour, but don't go away. We have another live hour of true crime coming up next. It's Vinnie Politan Investigates.